Hello, I'm Scott Wheeler, the host of the show, and we have with us today Don Gray of Newport, an author of The Paranormal. Thank you for coming on, Don.
Thank you, Scott, for having me here.
Well, let's start off. What is the paranormal, or at least writing about the paranormal?
Well, anything could be classified as paranormal: witches, ghosts, vampires, werewolves, though we know that most don't exist. As far as writing, it would be anything that deals with those categories.
Now, which one doesn't show up in film? As in, which one can't you see?
Which one can't you see on? You're not supposed to be able to see vampires on film.
So is it safe to say, if the listeners and the viewers right now can see you, you are not a vampire?
Correct.
Okay, so we have now confirmed that.
Right, we have established that. I'm not a vampire.
Right. So where did your love of ghosts and goblins and everything come from?
Well, when I was younger, we lived in Island Pond, and we were told very many ghost stories. I believe I lived in a haunted house. From a very young age, I believed that. So that's where the ghosts came from. The vampires, I watched a couple of vampire movies and just got hooked on the mythology of it. I mean, over in Europe, you could blink and you're a vampire.
So are you saying that Island Pond is a haunted community?
I think Island Pond has a lot of activity, yeah.
So are your characters, are they based on anybody or just out of your imagination?
They're just out of my imagination. I make them up as I go, or they make themselves up as they go.
Is it safe to say then you probably have a vivid imagination?
I do.
Right.
An overactive one, yes.
Right. So has Stephen King yet called you up to ask if you would take it a little easy on him? Like, are you putting him out of business yet?
No, not yet.
Right.
I'm working on it, though.
Right. So, you know, I'm a writer, and we both know that we are not in this for the money. Why do you do it?
Because it's definitely a way of stepping out of your everyday life. You know, you can read a book or you can write a book.
Right.
I just find that writing and being able to control the environment that the character's stepping into is something that relaxes me more than sitting down and reading it.
Now, I have your latest book in my hand, Spirit Firestorm. Now, how long would that have taken you to write?
I think Spirit took me about a month to set down the original manuscript, and working on it from there, probably about a year. It's actually not released yet. The official release date is March 14th, so these are pre-copies.
Now, do you make mistakes, read it over, and then say, why did I write it that way, and then rewrite it? There's occasions where I do that, but usually I find that everything kind of flows the way it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. Do your characters talk to you?
Yes.
That's what I'm a history writer, and I think my relationship with my characters are probably a bit different than yours because I'm kind of constrained by fact. But you can let your imagination go.
Right.
Is that fun?
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun because you can make up pretty much anything. As far as their pasts, I do use history or historical moments or dates when I'm making up, like, say, a vampire's history. I'll start a date, a place, somewhere real, and then take it from there. What happens in Spirit is it's more of the place than the time and the date. That caught me. Everybody else, the characters in there don't resemble everybody. They're their own people. Right.
Now, when I look at the spelling of spirit, there's periods in between. Does spirit stand for something for you?
Yes. Spirit stands for Special Paranormal Investigative Research Intelligence Team. It's a military-based ghost hunters. And these these guys don't just observe. They look for the evil ghosts, the malevolent spirits, and they do everything in their power to get rid of them.
I think the first movie my wife and I ever went to in Newport was Ghostbusters. And is it anything like that?
No. Well, they don't use the electronic gadgets as far as streams and
Right.
the different kind of weapons they use are actually some that you would see on television shows like Ghost Hunters and Paranormal Investigation, which is the EMF readers, thermal imaging scanners, which is, you know, anything that's not human or doesn't have heat to it will show up a different color. Like ghosts will show up blue, humans will show up red because of the heat. Digital recorders for any sound. But being a military team, they do use the M4A1 carbine rifle with special shells. Now they're copper shells that inside basically have a battery that charges the little components
Right.
inside. And once fired, it triggers, it powers up the cells, and then as soon as it hits any spirits that are, or ghosts, goblins, whatever you want to call them, that are solid form, then it basically explodes and fries them from the inside. It's the only way to get rid of.
Now tell
Those
me,
material.
as I said, I write history, so those are kind of hard facts, but do you believe that ghosts exist?
I do.
And have you ever
do.
had a personal up-close experience?
I've had several, actually. I've had ones in Island Pond. I've had ones in Massachusetts when I lived there, and I've had one captured on film in New Orleans. So I have had several.
Now, what are ghosts?
It depending on what kind you're looking at. You have residuals that are just kind of like replaying themselves or replaying the last moments or the happy moments that they remember in life. You have the malevolent ones that are, they're upset, they're evil, you know, something that happened in that house didn't happen good or in that spot, and it's just an evil that wants to constantly feed itself. It feeds itself from the fear.
Right.
And then you have, I don't know if you'd call them angels, guardians, family members who come down to let you know that, you know, you are being watched over. My son, when he was 3 months old, did that when my grandfather had passed. And he had, it was just an awe-inspiring experience.
Now, what about vampires?
Vampires, as far as...
Are they real, or is this just something you play with a little bit?
It depends on the way you look at it. I really do believe that there are energy vampires, which are just a form of... It's just somebody who really sucks the life out of you when you're near them, you know, that makes you tired to be around them. But as you grow tired, they grow more energetic. As far as the blood-sucking kind, I don't believe so.
Well, you know what? Maybe I know some vampires after all, because there's some people who are so negative.
Yes.
And they suck my energy, and the more they suck, the more energized and they seem to get.
Yeah.
So you tell me, the Spirit Firestorm, that's not on sale yet, though.
It's online. It goes online to all the bookstores and Amazon on March 14th.
Right.
I do have ones available at my residence for pre-orders. There is an ebook for Smashwords. So, I mean, there's different ways of getting it, of being able to read the story.
So if somebody wants to buy it right now, how do they do it?
They could contact me, dgray3994@aol.com, or on Facebook under Dawn Gray Author. And let me know that they're interested and go from there. We'll give out the information and what they need to know, and any questions that they have, they're more than welcome to ask.
Now, you said you wanted to show a trailer.
Yes.
Okay, let's go. That was really interesting. Where did the music and the photos come from?
Well, the photos are ones that I took myself.
Mm-hmm.
There is one in there of Island Pond in the olden days,
Right.
When the footbridge that goes over the railroad tracks was first built. The rest of the photos come from ones that I've taken on my own. Mm-hmm. The music is actually was composed by Jeremy Reboyne. He put it together specifically for the trailer to kind of give it the spooky feeling.
Right. And what do the people of Island Pond think about you transforming their community into this haunted village, basically?
Well, the ones that I met at the book signing in the Winter Carnival were very fascinated, and a lot of them wanted to share their own ghost stories about Island Pond with me. I know that the Clyde Hotel was supposedly visited
that's true, right.
by a ghost paranormal group,
Right.
And that was labeled haunted.
Right.
A lot of people had stories about the house that is on the cover, which is the Dale House. As far as I know, that's the name of it. And there's quite a few other places in Island Pond that are marked as haunted.
Now, tell me, when I think of haunted, I don't think of that as being a good thing. Now, tell me if should the people of Island Pond be worried that this is a stigma, or that having a haunted house is a bad thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing. Obviously, if it was somebody getting hurt, mm-hmm. that would be bad. You wouldn't want that. But nowadays, the paranormal is something that a lot of people are interested in, and it draws attention to the town. I mean, if this book drew attention to Island Pond and people went to visit and, were questioning about this or that and learned some of the town's history, I think that would be great.
Actually, that region has a spiritual past. The Brunswick Springs, which
Yep.
isn't too far away. Well, mention the Brunswick Springs a little bit.
I did take and travel. I traveled to Brunswick Springs, which is currently under protection by the Abenaki. Mm-hmm. That it has its own little history. From what I understand, and I'm still researching, there was a time in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where a hotel was built on a mineral spring, which had 6 different types of mm-hmm. minerals that came from the water.
Right.
And at one point in time, a young Indian mother lost her child and her husband in an argument, and cursed the springs that whoever should use them for profit would suffer. Mm-hmm. Now, about the late 1800s, they put a hotel up, and that hotel ran fine. It had nothing to do with the springs. There was no tapping into the water supply at all. And it went without any problem. When the land was sold, the new owner decided to start piping the springs into the hotel. As from what I understand, that hotel burned down.
Right.
Then in 1929, a new hotel was put on the spot. And before that opened, it burnt down. Now, because the owner was not in any way, shape, or form going to be haunted by this curse, he started building yet again. And in 1930, the building burnt down within 2 months before even opening the doors. And this continued on to another hotel. So 3 hotels in 3 years, all before opening, burned to the ground. He had decided that, okay, he had had enough and left the area.
Is that the last thing that was built there?
That's the last thing that was built there.
But that's considered sacred ground today, right?
Yes. Yep. It's Abenaki owned. It's a sacred preserve. You need to have permission to go on it, or which we had gotten, and it's amazing what you see up there. I mean, the foundation for the hotel is still there.
Now, did you feel anything when you were there?
I was giddy. I was giddy just going there. So I can't say that I actually felt any of what some people say. They feel heavy. The air around them gets thick. But I was just so excited that that was what I was feeling.
Yeah. Tell me, have you already started on another book?
I have, actually. The second book for Spirit is tentatively titled Malevolent Gateway, and it's a work in progress. I've got about 10,000 words to the book, which is probably about, I'd say, maybe 40 pages into it. And it has to do with the same area, but it's called a little town called Burke Flats.
Is that Burke, Vermont?
Actually, I think I put it around Island Pond again.
Okay.
There is a marsh out past Island Pond as you're heading towards Holland.
Right.
That we took photographs of this past summer, and it's just stuck in my head because it looks so scary. And if you had gone off the roads, you'd go right into the marsh. And so I've kind of worked around that whole concept of if you fell into the marsh, you're not getting out. So I made some kind of hints that maybe this marsh is something a little bit more than it seems.
Tell me, when you make a character, I know you don't probably use somebody directly, but do you build a character around somebody you might know? Or do you start right from scratch?
Usually it's right from scratch. The way that my characters kind of come about is, and some authors would say that they create themselves.
Right.
They start off as personalities, and then they become visuals, and in the books they kind of build on themselves and make their own personalities and characteristics come out. A lot of authors would take their main character and kind of put themselves in it, which I do that sometimes because it's a way of escaping, but I try also to make the characters not look like me.
Now, were you the kid in class who was daydreaming out the window?
Oh, yeah.
Now, did you go to college to write?
No, I did not. I've been to college, but not for writing.
Now, when I look at your books and when I read your books, is this something that you can really learn in a classroom, or is this something that has to come from within?
I know a lot of people who went to college for writing, and For me, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could be in the classroom and have people tell me how to write.
Right.
I write as if I'm sitting here telling you a story.
Right.
And that's how it comes out. I know in some of my college English classes, it was you have to start with this, you have to do this,
Right.
you have to do this. And if I can't, then I just can't. My books are not 700 pages long. They're not descriptive like Stephen King. You know, they don't go into that real 12 different colors of green on the leaf. It's here's some information, and I'm going to give you the feel around the area, and then the way you picture it is that's how, you know, I want the reader to step into it and be in it themselves.
You know, I see these 500-page books, and I've read a few 500-page books, but, you know, 500 pages is just too much for me. I look at the perfect size book is 150 to maybe 250.
Yep.
Anything over 250, especially in our society where, you know, we're so busy, they lose me.
Yeah, it can get a little overwhelming if it becomes too long. My books are actually, I think the longest book I have is $2.99.
Right.
But the spaces have been enlarged between them so that they're easier reading, not quite so small letters.
Now, have you gone high tech with these readers? I am so low tech. I still just use a good old-fashioned book. But
yeah, there's nothing like a good book in your hand. I do have ebooks. Actually, Spirit is an ebook, and I have a couple others. I believe one other standalone and a few of the Vampire Legacy series that I have out are on ebooks.
Yeah, that's one thing. I've actually asked my readers of the Northland Journal, I put it out there, I said, would you be interested to have my magazine in that format? And the overwhelming response was no. Right. But I think your writing and my writing are so drastically different because I think with mine, history, you still want to be able to hold it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that the way the journal comes out is you're reading it, but you're also holding that piece of history in your hand, especially with the pictures you put in there. They're awesome to look at. I love just going through even your Facebook page to look at the pictures because it does inspire. I think these kind of books, they're more words anyway, so having it either in a book like this or in a small tablet like this is not going to make much difference. I'm with you. I love to have a book in my hand.
You know, a lot of people, they talk about retirement. They look forward to retirement. Now with me, I do not plan to retire. The idea of retiring from writing is horrifying.
Yes, it is.
Are you the same way?
Absolutely. I wouldn't put down a pen and paper. And if I couldn't write or type, I have voice recorders.
Now, with me, some of my best inspiration comes just driving down the road, or 3 days a week. I have some of my most inspiring moments at indoor cycling.
Yes.
Where you just kind of ozone out and you just think.
Yep. You fall into that world that a book, almost like a book, creates. You open up your imagination and it flows through. I've gotten ideas driving home up the highway from bringing my kids for a visit. So I'm on my way home and, you know, past certain spots and go, oh, that's great. That's a good image, you know, and one image starts another image and creates a plot line.
You know, another thing is, I remember back in school even, and I was not a writer in school. Actually, I was probably a pretty decent writer in school, but the teachers, they focused too much on what I was doing wrong, which was important, but they didn't focus enough on what I was doing right.
Right.
But I cannot until I get that first paragraph done, I cannot go any further. I need the first paragraph of a story or of a book before I can move on. Now, are you that way, or can you start right dead in the middle of a book?
I start right dead in the middle of the book. I'm glad you asked, because before I came here today, I was at home and I was sitting down, and I was stuck on a part of the book that I just couldn't go past, as far as it was missing a spot. Right. So I just jumped forward into the book and started writing the scene in my head. And what happens is, once that scene's down, then I can go back and put the connectors there.
See, I can, oftentimes that first paragraph changes. Like, it might not even look anything like it did the first time, but psychologically, I just need to have it there.
Yep.
And if it isn't there, I can't go any further. But I didn't really start writing until computers. And it's so much easier. Like, if you get down and you realize that paragraph should be up here, that one down there, is cut, paste, and everything.
Right.
And that works out so good.
Yeah, I see what you're saying as far as the beginning, because teachers tell you the way of writing is you have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, or a beginning, a climax, and an ending. With me, I have to do it the other way. Then I'll rearrange it.
So you're a rebel, and I've been indoctrinated. So we only have a couple more minutes left. What more would you like to say?
I would just like to say to any of the young people out there that if you're going to write, don't let anybody stop you. You know, what's in your head it's your gift. If you can put it on paper, definitely. I know that I've had a lot of good responses with the kids around the area that I know. And going back home to Island Pond, I've been asked to come into to Brighton, and I can't wait. I can't wait to step back into those halls and show the kids there that you can dream whatever you want and make it come true.
And some of the best people to read your work and these are actually rare people. If you're going to give somebody a manuscript to read before you try to sell it or publish it, you want somebody who's going to be bluntly honest, because a lot of your friends, what they automatically want to do is, well, no, this is good.
Yeah.
But in reality, what they might be saying was, well, I think I'd do this a little bit differently.
Right. Yep.
Do you have somebody you bounce things off of that are bluntly honest with you?
I have several people, actually. Through the miracle of Facebook, I have met a lot of other independent writers that have a completely different style than me, and we'll go back and forth with manuscripts. And because they're writers and you know that they're looking for it, you can be completely and bluntly honest.
Right.
And I think that's great. The feedback is phenomenal. And
well, Facebook is a whole different topic because it really has connected people. I didn't have a clue who Don Gray was until we bumped into each other on Facebook. Now you've been on my radio show, now the TV show. You've submitted pieces to the Northland Journal. And that was all because of the one. Because, let's be real. There's a lot of bad about Facebook.
Right.
I don't care what somebody had for breakfast. But on the other hand, there's so much network, and I've networked with people from all over the globe. Well, Don, thank you for coming on, and we'll have to have you on again when you publish your next book.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.